We are at the Association of British Climbing Walls show, where we will be looking at the top performance climbing shoes available throughout 23 and 24. New for Spring/Summer 24 is the La Sportiva Mandala. So the Mandala features within La Sportiva's reworked No Edge family. Now in terms of No Edge, if you've not used it before, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It doesn't have an edge. It features a much smoother finish. Now I remember when I first saw this, I wondered how a climbing shoe would actually function without an edge, when historically speaking, an edge is integral to a climber's performance. But the interesting thing about No Edge technology is that you don't need the edge. What the edge means is that you're either on or off of that feature. In the case of No Edge, it tends to grab and stick to virtually anything, whether that be edge or smear, because you get that greater surface area across it. So whilst we're focusing on indoor performance here, and the Mandala is definitely suitable for indoor use, particularly whilst bouldering, this is a shoe that's actually a much greater all-rounder than that. It's just as suitable, just as applicable to bouldering and sport climbing outside as it is from a performance perspective indoors. When it comes to the features, the sole comprises of Vibram XS Grip 2, the sticky stuff. And the midsole features throughout the front half of the shoe, meaning you get that good amount of support when it comes to edging, but due to the split sole, giving you plenty of adjustability when it comes to smearing. The next thing that really strikes you with the Mandala is this amazingly sculpted toe patch. It is a thing of beauty and a necessary part of any performance climbing shoe these days. Perhaps what strikes me most when I look at the Mandala is just how complete and finished and beautiful a product it is. It exudes craftsmanship, and I'm really looking forward to giving this a go when it arrives next year. For Spring/Summer 24, Red Chili are bringing out the Clue. Now this fits at the top end of their performance collection, and it's designed with indoor bouldering in mind. The shoe has a slipper fit, but with a single Velcro strap to adjust the fit. And in terms of that fit, the Clue is at the narrower end of the spectrum, with quite a low volume throughout the forefoot. It features somewhere in the region of 3 mil of excess grip rubber, which is very much the industry standard as far as stickiness and sensitivity are concerned, and a horseshoe midsole, which gives you that edging power on the outside, but makes it soft enough to smear with. So if you're looking for something with performance, flexibility, and sensitivity, check out the Clue next year. Whilst it isn't new, it fits perfectly into the theme of this video. The Tenaya Indalo is a great indoor performance bouldering shoe. We reviewed the Indalo last year and we really rated it as a fantastic all-rounder. It's got all the features that you would want. It's got a Vibram XS Grip sole unit, XS Grip being the industry standard as far as stickiness is concerned. It's got a decent sized toe patch, which is great for scums and smearing. And the dragstore closing system gives a bit more precision than your average single strap or double strap design. And the dragstore lacing system that's used provides a bit more adjustment than your average single or double strap design. When it comes to fit, its width is on the neutral side of things, and its volume is potentially on the lower end of the spectrum. So whilst it may not be new, the Indalo is a fantastic shoe if it's indoor performance bouldering that you're after, but it also has the potential to be great outdoors as well. The Black Diamond Method S was released earlier this year, and we've reviewed them this summer. Now the thing about the Method S is that it is undoubtedly a performance-oriented shoe, but it's supremely comfortable. These are one of the nicest shoes to climb in that I have worn this year. They come in a men's high volume and a women's low volume version. The Method S features a lovely, soft and stretchy sock fit. Now this gives it a very slipper-esque feel, but it's got that single strap in place for you to refine the fit and adjustment. When it comes to rubber, Black Diamond have used their proprietary Black Label rubber. Now this stuff is literally the stickiest stuff out there. It's stickier still than the likes of Vibram XS Grip 2, and that is really pretty noticeable in use. Whether to be a downside, maybe wears a little quicker, but if it's stickiness that you're after, this is the stuff you want. And this is used on both the front and back end of the shoe. So it doesn't matter whether you're edging or smearing with the toe or heel hooking at the back, it's got that same amount of grip available. When it comes to fit, the width is somewhere in the middle. They're a relatively neutral shoe, and obviously you have the options of the higher volume or the lower volume available. Unlike virtually 99.9% of shoes on the market, where the size is basically a number plucked out of thin air, the Method S has a true to size fit, meaning it should be the same as you are in your high street shoe size. Madness. Scarpa released the Veloce lace earlier this year, and it is a shoe that the UKC team immediately fell in love with. Now, the reason we've fallen in love with it is because it's a really interesting shoe. It is performance oriented, but it's kind of an all-comers performance orientation insofar as its fit is actually extremely comfortable and its last is actually very kind on the foot. It's got a very rounded toe profile and quite a broad toe box, but it seems to be able to fit everyone courtesy of the super soft S72 rubber that Scarpa have used. You put this on and you can almost feel the air whooshing out of it as it suction cups to your foot, and it feels instantly good out of the box. This S72 rubber is as sticky as it comes as well, stickier still than the likes of Vibram XS Grip. Now, this might mean that you'll creep a little on the smallest and most marginal of edges, but in terms of smearing, you'll be sticking. The other thing that surprised us is actually how much we like the lacing. Many of us for indoor use prefer slippers or Velcro straps simply because they're quick and easy to take off. But the thing is, once we put on the Veloce lace, we didn't take them off, and the lacing allowed us to get a precision fit. This is a shoe we love and we'll be reviewing shortly. Last year, I reviewed the Boreal Crux, which I really rated as a fantastic all-rounder, but its primary usage is for the outdoor environment, sport and trad climbing, maybe a little bit of bouldering. The Indo features the exact same last as the Crux, but has been oriented towards indoor climbing, most particularly bouldering. So in terms of their fit, they're identical, but in terms of everything else, they're quite different. To begin with, you'll notice that the Indo has a much shorter outsole. It's around about half the length, as opposed to the Crux's 3/4 length. And that makes it softer. Other features, such as the cutaway and the horseshoe midsole, again, gives it that softer and more sensitive feel. It features between 4 and 4.5 mil of Boreal's Zenith Ultra 2. Now, this is their stickiest compound, and judging from how sticky the Zenith Pro 2 was on the Crux, I'm really excited to give these a go. I think this is going to be their best and most soft, sticky compound yet. When it comes to the uppers, the Indo features a sock fit that essentially means it's very much like a slipper in terms of its feel, but you've got the two straps in order to refine the fit. It also features a much larger toe patch, which from an indoor and performance perspective is invaluable when dealing with those toe hooks and large volumes and comp style problems. The Indo is designed, much like the Crux, with both comfort and performance in mind. The fit is at the medium to broad end of the spectrum, and the volume is relatively neutral on these. Within the Indo, you're not wanting your toes fully crimped against the end, but you do want them engaged. And the heel tension isn't extreme. This is ultimately designed with a circuit in mind, a session in mind, and not just doing one problem before removing them in instant agony afterwards. The flagship was released 2 years ago now, and has been adopted by comp climbers such as Tomoe Narasaki as their shoe of choice. But the flagship is no longer the flagship in Unparalleled's range. Now we have the Flagship Pro. The original design brief of the Flagship Pro came from Tomoe, and that was that he wanted a flagship that he could wear out the box straight into a comp. Now, there's a lot of similarities between the Flagship and the Flagship Pro, but there are some key differences. Firstly, comes down to the toe profile. The Flagship Pro is ever so slightly more asymmetrical than the Flagship, meaning it's got a more pointy point to point onto some small holes. The next thing is that the original Flagship didn't have a midsole, whereas this has a thermoplastic midsole. The end result of that is that this has a more supportive feel, but most critically, where the original Flagship may be bagged out a little over time, this retains its shape and structure much, much better. Now, as a result of it getting more structure from the midsole, this has allowed Unparalleled to reduce the amount of rubber on the sole to give it that little bit extra edge in terms of its sensitivity. So where the original was 3.5 mil rubber, the Flagship Pro has 3 mil rubber. And perhaps unsurprisingly, the Flagship Pro still features Unparalleled's proprietary RS rubber, which is their stickiest compound. In terms of fit, They're a little bit narrower than the original Flagship, but the volume is much the same. These are a shoe where your toe needs to be crimped right to the end in order to fill out that additional volume. The Flagship Pro is coming out for Spring/Summer 24, and I have no doubt that we'll be seeing them on Tomoa's feet in Paris later that year.